I've been here before.
To here?
I haven't been to the Hard Rock Hotel, but I was in Hollywood, Florida for the Hollywood Boys and Girls Club to do an auction years ago. And I also was here, I met with Connie Francis, who wanted me to play her in a movie about her that didn't go anywhere. But yeah,
It didn't go any well.
But
I'm gonna start
this
using
is the
it.
greatest version.
Great.
I was here last week
Yeah.
for a show.
Oh, that's right.
I played a show with my band Rooney here in Fort Lauderdale.
I like
It's
the
great.
band Rooney.
It's so fun. Thank you.
It's like watching it.
We used to come on family reunions here.
You what?
Growing up.
You did?
In Pensacola Beach.
We all
a little
have
farther.
some memory here. It's amazing.
Yeah. I've never been to Hard Rock though.
Here we are.
Oh, sorry.
So I think I'll start with Johnny. The character is a struggling musician. And was there a way that you related to this character? And I also want to know a little bit about if you play any instruments, if you are a musician.
Yeah, I played like a little bit of piano. I can play something just slightly above chopsticks. And Robert tried his best to teach me to play as much as we could.
He did a great job.
For
Between takes, he would start playing.
I would try, but you know, I'm not a great piano player, but I do love music. I play guitar a little bit, and as far as the struggling aspect, I've been working as an actor for 12 years, but I think everybody experiences, it just goes like this. It's like, it's all over the place, and sometimes you're doing really good, but it doesn't feel like you're doing great work. Or sometimes you're not doing so good, but you're doing really great work. It's like, I think, it's chaotic at times, which I think Monty's kind of going through. And also, ultimately, an endless search of what you want to do with your artistry or your, not to sound lame, but craft, I suppose. So yeah, I definitely identify on that level.
Was there anything you had to do to prepare for the role?
I tried to learn piano with Robert. I did not try to learn how to drive a moped, which was a big mistake.
He was great on it.
And then we got on the 405 with it, which was exciting because it went about 20.
Did you go on the 405?
I did, however, wipe out. I got so excited that there was like this little moped on set that I would drive it, and then we set up an obstacle course. I don't know if we ever found out about this because it wouldn't have been good, but I just wiped out hard on that thing, and I cut my chin, and we went and immediately covered it up with makeup so nobody knew, nobody freaked out. But
I didn't know about this.
I have a musical question for Beverly. I think most people don't know you're an accomplished singer. Maybe they do.
Well, I sang my way into the movies. I don't sing so much anymore, but yeah. And I studied opera and the whole thing. I was the real deal, yeah.
Do you think that helped you connect with the role in some way and the musical aspect?
Well, it drew me to the script, absolutely. You know, because it's such a part of my. That's how I was an animator, and then I started singing, and it was through singing. I did a Broadway musical, and then I was in the film of Hair and in the film of Coal Miner's Daughter. So it was really kind of like I sang my way into the world of movies. That's when those people started noticing. I thought that's what I was going to be. But, you know, it didn't work out like that.
wait, did you think you were going to be an opera singer?
No, I've studied opera because I was singing rock and roll and losing my voice.
Oh.
And so I studied with this guy named Ed Johnson, this is in Canada, to develop the technique so that wouldn't happen, and then also with a guy named Nathan Lamb in Las Vegas.
How long did you do that for?
Study or sing?
Study.
Well, let's see. In Canada, that was probably about a year. I was singing with Ronnie Hawkins, who was a rockabilly guy, and, you know, we played from like 8 o'clock until midnight, and then, because in Toronto, you had to close out. You couldn't serve after 12 o'clock, and all bars had to close, but we would rehearse after the gigs.
Oh,
so then we'd have a whole second audience and, you know, play till about 2 or 3 in the morning. So, yeah, I was losing my voice because the way I was singing. So Ronnie's the one who said, you know, you should study. So I did that for about a year. And then when I came to LA, I picked it up again with Nathan Lamb about 10 years after that. And at one point he said, you know, if you just focus on this for 2 years, I'll get you into the Long Beach Opera Company. But everything was taking off in my acting career, so that was that. But yes, the music was very important to me because the story of a musician are stories that I know and that I've grown up with and that I've felt, you know, and my brother's a jazz musician. My father was a musician with big bands before he met my mom, and or when he met my mom, and then they had a bunch of kids, so he stopped doing that. So I know a lot about the broken dreams of musicians, and also, you know, the famous joke, like, what do you call a jazz musician without a girlfriend? Homeless. So this script to me, you know, resonated on that level very much so, in that I saw the story of the musician as being an engine.
Kind of switching gears a little bit on the quirkiness. That is like the quirkiest role. I wonder if it's the quirkiest role I've ever seen you in.
Because a lot of people are saying this.
Wonderful.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, well.
I might have gone too far.
No.
It was Robert Schwartzman's.
She felt
Everything
it.
comes down to.
No.
But Beverly, a lot
I
of
mean,
great.
she just has so much character.
I
mean,
love
just
it.
what?
No,
Tell me. I just really want to know what you kind of got out of that, because you just look like you're having a blast.
That's what I got out of it, were those moments. Every moment that I was there, I was alive to it, and that I still feel that. That's why I'm here. I mean, I'm in Fort Lauderdale at this film festival because of this movie, because it touched me so. I felt so free and so great, and it was such a wonderful experience. So what I got out of it were those very moments that were created by Robert Schwartzman. If he keeps saying the
And
name.
on to Robert Schwartzman. So that's a really good segue
What?
because the film touches on so many themes. Do you think there was was there something that really resonated with you in your own life in the film?
With themes in the film?
It touches on so many different themes, actually.
Yeah. Well, I guess there are a lot of pieces to it that I think are things that I just thought would be exciting to explore. The one part of it is just Monty, Johnny, and like Frankie Shaw, who plays Liz, their relationship feels like they shouldn't be together anymore. Like an expired relationship is always interesting to me. Like when people stay together who are so disconnected, and why they do that, and why sometimes it goes on for so long before something happens that they pull the plug. So like they're so far apart when we first meet them, and it causes them to explore other things outside of their relationship. So that was just an interesting sort of character connection that those two have that I wanted to explore. And then I used to go to this little lounge in LA and watch a piano player, and he would play every night, and he was there. He was an older guy. He was like a Fred Russo guy, which is in this movie, you meet that character. So I thought it'd be interesting. I wanted to know more about that guy and what was his backstory, which is sort of what inspired the Monty character. So where did that guy start out, and how did he get to this place? And so I followed that thread, and that was an inspiration, that environment, this upscale hotel environment, and the people that hang out there. And then the idea of, on the other side, objectifying like how this woman, Olivia, meets Monty, and what was missing in her life that causes her to seek this guy out, and what's her story? What, when her husband says that you're not the only one, what is that? Who else is there? What is that life she lives? And you know, the husband is a guy that just got back from this like hunting trip. It's not really said, but he's away, and she says, you know, Alan has trophies all over his wall. I can have one too. So Monty is like her trophy, and that wakes him up. You know, he's already at that point there to liberate himself from that relationship, but it's just a reminder that this is all this was to you. And I think that it's an interesting idea to see it told another way, because in Hollywood, I think you have a lot of older men with younger women. That's sort of a theme that people complain about, you know, how women are objectified in Hollywood films, but we flipped it in this movie, and he plays that character. And it was interesting to tell that side of the story. Explore it as much as we could in this, you know, in a short film.
I also want to add to something that you asked me earlier about, I think, identifying with Monty as like an artist and what he's going through, and I don't know that this has ever really hit me. I know it hit me whenever we were shooting earlier, but I was more focused on the Olivia aspect of it, what I could bring to that, and like exactly what you're talking about with it flipping. But I moved from Dallas, Texas, knowing that I wanted to be an actor since I was a kid. And I didn't grow up in Hollywood. I had no, in my mind, a limo pulled up and you got discovered. And so I moved here in a Jeep Wrangler that had 120,000 miles with no air conditioning across one of the hottest summers in, like literally I still have the map from that summer. And it was just, I remember looking over at my dad who rode out with me, and his face was just red, and we were just burning up in this thing. Finally, we pull up to California, and we're in Santa Monica, and everybody's like, God, it's so hot here today. And we were like, you have no idea what hot is. And I started valeting cars at night. I took one class, and I remember I lived in Hollywood close to Hollywood Boulevard, got a roommate on roommates.com, and I would valet in Santa Monica at this really like up, very expensive hotel. And I would see these cars come in, and occasionally an actor would come in, and occasionally a director would come in, and I would just be like this far from it. And I remember the first time I went through the studio gates of Sony, I answered a ad in the Backstage West, which was just to be a PA on a 35 millimeter film, just because I wanted to be around the set. And I remember going through Sony and pulling out my ID and then letting me in. And I think that's the equivalent of Monty's bar, what he introduces to Olivia. Like for me, that was that moment, that dream of one day maybe I might be coming here more than just once. I probably won't book this. It might go good, they might like me, but what are the chances that I'll end up, booking this movie? And then that led to a manager, that led to shooting a movie, and then I got Evan Almighty, and I've been working ever since. But that time period was so amazing because you aren't even aware of what might possibly happen, and yeah, definitely.